A Korean skincare brand launches in the US. They host a big influencer dinner to celebrate, and at that dinner, all the influencers get told to close their eyes because there is a huge surprise waiting for them. They're all covering their eyes for ages, apparently a very long time. They're asked to open their eyes, and in front of them is a Louis Vuitton gift. Now, everyone except one influencer got that gift, and that awkward moment has now spiraled into accusations of theft, deleted videos, influencers defending brands they don't even work for, and in my opinion, a conversation that is much bigger than skincare influencer drama. Because I have questions, I have concerns, and this whole situation left me wondering, what exactly do influencers owe brands, and what are brands actually buying when they hand out luxury gifts? So let's talk about it. I want you to bear with me on this video because I'm not a drama channel. So I'm going to tell you a bit about the drama, then the conversation that I want to have surrounding it, and what I think is going wrong with influencers right now. So recently, a Korean skincare brand called Clear Dia hosted an event celebrating their launch into ULTA. Now, Clear Dia are a K-beauty brand who, quite honestly, I know nothing about. I couldn't find much information about like who they are as a brand, etc., but I looked through their products and they seem to have a nice selection of products. They seem very focused on like a minimal skincare routine, and most of the products seem to be very focused on gentle skincare too. Honestly, I'm not sure what the whole brand ethos is, but actually a few of their products look very, very good. So I hadn't actually heard of this brand before, but apparently they went pretty viral because Blackpink's Jennie featured their shower head of all things in a GQ video. I think she says she travels with it because it's got filtering or something. They held this event that looked like a dinner, and it looked like mainly TikTokers there. Honestly, the TikTokers that I've seen who attended this event don't really focus on skincare. They seem to be beauty overall and lifestyle, which I find kind of weird. Like, invite skincare influencers, you know? Anyway, one of the creators invited was a lifestyle influencer, I guess you can say, called Mitchie, who has around 162,000 followers on TikTok. So after the event, she posted a video saying, "Tonight has to be in the top 3 most humiliating experiences of my life," which immediately got my attention. She explains that all evening the brand had been building anticipation around this really generous gift that they had planned for everyone attending. And I want to know how that conversation went, because I find it weird that a brand would be going, "Guys, we got something for you later. It's a really generous gift." I want to know what they were saying because that's a little bit weird to me from the outset. So at dinner, as I mentioned, everyone was told to take out their phones and record their reactions to this gift. They were asked to close their eyes and the gifts were placed on the table in front of them. Everyone opened their eyes and Mitchie realized she was the only person who didn't receive a gift. Not only were all the other influencers filming their reactions because they were asked to, but there was apparently also a professional camera crew there capturing everyone's reactions as well. And I find it weird that the brand told them to film their reactions too. We'll talk about that in a bit. And listening to her talk about it, the thing that really stood out to me wasn't the fact that she didn't get the Louis Vuitton passport holder. People were saying it's a passport holder, but it looked like a notebook to me. It was very, very thick. That was the gift, by the way. We'll talk about that as well in a little bit. But it's what she said next. She said, "Why was I even invited? Why am I in this room? Is it because I'm not good enough?" And I think that's why so many people connected with this video and how this video went viral, because this, to me, isn't really about that gift. It's about that feeling of being left out, which I think like a lot of influencers feel, especially when you go to other events and you see all these other influencers. You're like, oh my god, what am I doing here? Like, everyone else is so much bigger, or I've seen all these people before, or they're doing so much more than me, etc. But she had that feeling that everybody else in that room deserved to be there over her.
They tell us to close our eyes. They place things on the table. My eyes are closed. They tell us to open it. And I realized that they gifted everybody at the party a Louis Vuitton gift. All 20 other people at the party a Louis Vuitton gift. Except me. I was the only one that didn't receive anything. And it took so much in me to like take the moment with grace and just take it for what it was. But I did feel that initial stab of humiliation and imposter syndrome and started wondering like, why was I even invited? Why am I in this room? Is it because I'm not good enough? They don't deem me worthy enough for a gift?
Now, bear in mind, a lot of these TikTokers all have about the same follower count as I mentioned, so it's not like anyone deserved to be there more than any others. And you know, that's not how it works anyway. Just because you have a smaller following, it doesn't mean you're less worthy of anything than somebody on a higher following. And it's not like they were just giving this gift to people on a higher follower count. Now, importantly, I would say in her original video, she never named the brand. Not once. Not once did she say anything about the brand. She wasn't asking people to boycott them. She wasn't accusing anybody of like stealing anything, and she wasn't saying, look what this brand did to me, how horrible is this? She was just sharing her experience that made her feel embarrassed, and I get it. And to her credit, even after the story exploded online, she repeatedly tried to stop people from taking things too far, because somehow, and I never know how this happens on TikTok, people are like amateur sleuths. People knew who this brand was and who else was at this event, and people ended up tagging the brand in the comments. In a follow-up video, because Mitchie posted maybe like 4 or 5 videos about this, she said, I haven't been liking comments that are hateful or that have wild theories about the staff stealing the gifts. I just don't know what happened.
Please do not blame my friends at the table. They are completely blameless. I'm seeing a lot of comments asking why they didn't stand up for me. And when the chaos and all the excitement of the unboxing wore down and more of my table started to realize what had happened, that I didn't receive the gift, they were just as confused as I was. One of the girls at the table also insisted that I take her gift, which really speaks to her heart and her character. So please, please, please do not use this as an opportunity to witch hunt and leave mean comments. They deserve to enjoy the gift.
Now, this is where Clear Dia eventually step in. The brand responded in the comments saying that there had been a misunderstanding. According to them, the gifts had been misplaced during the event and were later found in a team member's backpack. This is where the stealing allegations come from. But they wrote, we truly prepared them for all of our guests and would never intentionally leave anyone out. Later, they released a longer statement saying that there had been an internal miscommunication and poor execution on their part. Listen, personally, I believe them. This was a big night for them. I've worked events before. I've worked launches. I've worked celebrity gifting events, not for skincare or beauty, but for fashion stuff. And whilst mistakes do happen, I also don't think somebody risked their career over a Louis Vuitton passport holder. Everything, when it comes to gifting, is accounted for because it's a business cost, and they need to see that cost go to the right person and hopefully see a return on that cost too. So that explanation of somebody who works for the brand stealing just doesn't make sense to me, even though it was found in someone's bag. How else are you transporting the gifts to the location, you know? What makes much more sense is that events are chaotic. They're chaos. People are running around trying to manage seating plans, capture content, timings, introductions to products. Things get misplaced. People assume someone else has dealt with it, you know? It happens. Now, the problem isn't that the gift went missing. The problem is that nobody explained what was happening. Because yes, she didn't get a gift, but they gave her a card. So when she opened her eyes, she just had like a little card in front of her. So it looked like she was just given a card. Imagine how different this whole story would have been if somebody had just simply pulled Mitchie aside and said, we're really sorry, we can't find your gift right now, but we're looking for it and we'll send it tomorrow. You know, that kind of thing. But instead they just gave her a card and didn't say anything, which was their issue. But instead she spent the rest of the evening wondering whether she'd been intentionally excluded. And when people online don't have answers, they love to create their own answers, right? People in the comments love to build up this story, and that's where the accusations started. The theft, the stolen gifts. Others accuse the brand of deliberately humiliating her. People were saying, well, she was just a +1 anyway. Maybe they didn't give her a gift. They weren't supposed to give her a gift even. And again, I don't think any of that happened. But the internet is going to do what it's going to do best, and that's fill in the blanks. Usually very incorrectly, usually with the worst possible explanation. Eventually, the brand found the gift, tracked down Mitchie's contact details through a mutual friend, and sent it along with flowers and an apology letter. Interestingly, Mitchie says she and her team actually tried to decline the gift. They didn't give any details, as we know, and she actually ended up doing a giveaway for the gift. She says herself she's a corporate girly. Being an influencer isn't her full-time job. If she wants to buy herself a Louis Vuitton passport holder, she could do it with her own money. So this is one of the comments they left on Mitchie's original video. They say, oh no, I think there was a misunderstanding. We were only able to make a reservation for 20 people at the restaurant, and there were 3 of us from the Clear Dia team. We invited 17 guests and prepared exactly 20 gift sets in case anyone bought a guest. Because the 3 of us were carrying all the gifts and the Clear Dia kits ourselves, some of the items were stored in one of our team members' backpack, and we simply couldn't find them at the time. We actually discovered them after the event ended, and of course we fully intend to give them to everyone. I'm really sad that it came across the wrong way. I think there may have been a miscommunication yesterday, and I'm also so sorry for the confusion. We truly prepared them for all of our guests and would never intentionally leave anyone out. So this is where I'm confused, because they said they invited 17 people. That's 7, but you know. And there were 3 members of the Clear Dia team. So was Mitchie a guest? She says she wasn't. A +1, I mean, she says she wasn't. And this comment actually had a picture attached to it, which seemed like a picture of all the gifts or the missing gifts and a backpack. They also left another comment saying this event was especially meaningful to us because Clear Dia was first introduced to the US through influencers last year, and that journey eventually led us to launching at retail. We've always considered influencers to be our customers as well, which is why we wanted to express our gratitude to those who supported us from the very beginning. The gift was never meant to be just a giveaway. We chose the passport holder because our hope is for our Clear Dia to be more than a passing trend, to be a brand that stays with you through different moments of life, accompanying your journey along the way. I'm truly sorry for the misunderstanding. Someone actually messaged them, which is really, really weird. And then like, why I find that weird. Like, leave it. It's not your business. It's not your drama. And they replied with this. Pause to read it. But this is the official statement that they put out. I missed the statement, so I'm just going to play this video for you.
So after that, Clear Dia releases this. It says, we wanted to address the issue and misunderstanding that occurred at our most recent event. Due to internal miscommunication and poor execution on our part, we made a serious mistake involving one of the creators. And for that, we are truly sorry to that creator. Our intention was to never make any member feel left out or excluded. We sincerely apologize for the way the creator felt during our event. After the event ended, our team met to discuss how we could make things right. We arranged for flowers and the gift that she was supposed to receive for the next morning. Due to communication challenges, after notifying the creator through mutuals, we were able to deliver the gift along with the flowers and letter that afternoon. And then they apologized for their silence following the incident. And after Mitchie posted that video about the incident, they were just trying to figure out how to make things right for her and what to say as a public statement. And that this is their first event outside of Korea. They're just trying to adapt the process and expectations in a new environment. They apologize for any language issues that may have led to confusion or misunderstanding. And they emphasize that they're a small US team of 3 that made a mistake but had no malicious intentions. And they regret this mistake and are committed to learning from it to ensure it doesn't happen again.
But this is where the story takes a turn. Because now another influencer who attended the event, Grace, starts posting videos defending the brand. And this is where, again, I started to ask myself, I was watching this and I was like, why is she doing this? What do influencers actually owe brands? And this is what I want to talk about, because there's something happening in the influencer industry that I think is weird. I think influencers are becoming too attached to brands.
I know some people are asking, why have they not made a public statement? Like, their silence is so loud. Language barrier. They are trying their best. They have been using ChatGPT for a few of the responses just because English is not their first language. And that's why they're deleting it, because they start to realize, like, oh, this message was not good enough. And, you know, whatever they say, they're going to still get hate. Like, I most likely will get a lot of negative comments on my video, which is okay because I'm just speaking from my experience as well. From all my conversations with them, like, they were planning to reach out to her. They feel very apologetic. And it was a genuine mistake. It was not intentional. And they weren't trying to steal their own gifts. Some people are coming out here saying that employees wanted to keep the gifts for themselves. Like, it's just 3 people. And from all my conversations with them, they were honestly just trying to prioritize privately, make it up to her. Whether those efforts were sufficient, I still think context is very, very important here, because some of the people who are in the comments and DMs are saying you didn't do anything to make it right to her, but the brand did try. Now getting into the part that really concerned me, and the reason why I wanted to speak out on this, I think there's a difference between holding a brand accountable and then also assuming malicious intent. Based on everything I witnessed as an attendee and also knowing the team behind Clear Dia, there was no malicious intent or calculation or the desire to exclude anyone. So final thoughts, again, I'm just so emotional because I feel for Mitchie, but I also feel for this brand.
Now, if the story had ended there, this just would have been one very awkward influencer drama moment that everybody would have forgotten about a week later. But because Grace got involved, she kind of made people question who was in the right and who was in the wrong and what's really going on here. Grace went on to talk about the brand being a small team navigating their first event outside of Korea. She said in a video they were honestly just trying to prioritize privately making it up to her. And her video really didn't go down very well at all. And I think Grace misunderstood why people were upset. People weren't necessarily asking whether the brand had malicious intentions anymore. They were now wondering why another influencer felt responsible for defending them in the first place. Because here's the thing, right? Influencers are not PR managers. We aren't crisis communication teams for your brand. We aren't spokespeople unless we've been paid to be, which I'm guessing she hasn't. I also have never personally felt that connected to a brand that I'm going to cry over one like Grace did in her video. She said her friend worked for the brand, so maybe that's why. But why is she trying to protect this brand from the negative feedback? So when another creator starts posting emotional videos defending a brand, people are naturally gonna start asking questions. Why do you feel responsible for this? Like, why are you putting your own reputation on the line for a company? And I think this is where influencer culture has become really quite strange, in my opinion. We are influencer marketing tools, right? But brands have stopped treating influencers like marketing partners, let's say, and started treating influencers like friends, and influencers started treating brands like friends too. As a consumer, I think it's important to treat a brand like a friend if that's what you're into, kind of thing. I personally like to know if I would hang out with a brand. You know, if it was a person, would I hang out with them? Do our beliefs align? Just because I know where our money eventually ends up. But with influencers, we are a business and this is a business transaction. But influencers are treating brands like friends. You go to events together, you go on trips together, you get invited to dinners, you receive expensive gifts. You spend time with the brand teams over and over again. Of course, relationships develop, that's human, right? I think especially when you get to know the teams behind these brands, you are like, these are really good people and they are working so hard. But I think sometimes these personal relationships can blur professional boundaries because ultimately, no matter how friendly you are with a brand, it's still a business relationship. At least it should be, in my opinion. And this is why I've never liked this luxury gifting thing. I don't get it. I don't like it. I think it's quite tacky. Now, I'm not talking about influencers, like luxury unboxing influencers, if that's the whole thing. That's great. Buy your stuff. I don't know. I get nervous trying to explain myself. If you are a luxury influencer, good for you. I'm also not talking about influencers buying their own expensive products and showing them off, although I do find that a little bit odd too, if that isn't your usual style of content. But I personally think skincare brands need to stop buying influencers' designer gifts, because what does a Louis Vuitton passport holder have to do with skincare? If your products are great, let the products speak for themselves. Like this trip, they said they wanted to say thank you to the influencers. A dinner is enough. And I think there's other intentions behind it, to be honest with you. I think the moment you start attaching luxury items to launches, you create a sense of obligation, not because brands necessarily expect anything in return, but because that's just how people work. That's human nature. If somebody gives you an expensive gift, you naturally feel grateful, almost like you owe them something now and you don't want to let them down in the future. And before you know it, you've gone from reviewing a cleanser to defending a company online in tears. Personally, I don't feel like I owe brands shit. I don't owe brands anything beyond honesty and professionalism. I've given negative reviews before. I've disagreed with marketing claims. I've criticized launches, and brands still work with me afterwards. Those brands I've criticized because it's business. I can give a brand a positive review of one product and shit over another product in the next video. But in my opinion, a healthy brand relationship, working relationship, isn't just built on blind loyalty, like you'll say anything just because you're friends. They're built on trust, the trust that you'll be fair, the trust that you'll be honest, and the trust that you won't say anything is amazing just because you got flown out somewhere or received an expensive gift. And the same goes the other way around. Brands don't owe creators endless opportunities. Creators don't owe brands protection. It's just business. And I think we all need to remember that, speaking to other influencers. Now, things got even messier when allegations started circulating that someone from the brand's US team and Grace later discussed the whole situation on TikTok Live and made negative comments about Mitchie. I think some comments were actually saying they were bitching about Mitchie. I want to be careful here because I haven't seen the live stream. It's not posted anywhere. It's just hearsay right now. So I don't think it's fair to make a definitive statement about what was going on or what was said.
You were literally on live with the brand, the person that speaks English in the brand, talking cash money shit about Michi and being fucking mean girls to the point that people in your comment section were literally on the live were saying you're being ridiculous and rude and mean. There's people in my comments calling you out for your live. You were really being a bitch to Michi on that live. You were literally shading her with the brand. We see where your loyalty lies.
But if those allegations are true, then that's where I think a line has been crossed, because if a creator feels hurt by your mistake, the answer isn't to start discussing them publicly behind the scenes as a brand. And if you're another influencer watching all this unfold, I still don't think it's your responsibility to step in and manage the fallout just because you like the brand or know the people behind the brand, especially when the creator involved has already made it clear that she understands mistakes happen. Mitchie herself said it really could have been just a set of unfortunate circumstances. And again, I think that's probably all it was, a mistake. And just a side note, a lot of influencers that were there started posting videos like, POV, you were at that Clear Dia event, and it's videos of them unboxing their gift and passport holders or fucking notepads, whatever they were. And it's a bit mean girly, it's like mean girly energy, but anyway, that's whatever. But then another creator enters the chat. I think like a commentary creator, I would say her content is Mitchie Yaps a lot, who, just to make things as confusing as possible, is not the same person as Mitchie. She started stitching Grace's videos and sharing her own opinions on the situation. And I'm bringing her into this because I think her own opinions is kind of everybody else's opinion on the situation. Her argument was pretty straightforward. She wasn't really questioning whether the brand made a mistake either. She was questioning why the fuck Grace felt the need to defend them so publicly. At one point she says, why are you putting your neck and your personal brand out there? And yeah, that's the question that kept coming up in my head too, like, why is this woman doing this? Because regardless of whether you think Grace was right or wrong, once you step in to defend a brand, people naturally start wondering what your relationship is with that brand and what that truly looks like behind the scenes. Mitchie Yaps a lot argued that the brand should have spoken out for themselves quicker than they did, instead of another creator stepping in and doing it all for them. She repeatedly questioned whether Grace felt some sense of obligation towards the brand, and even asked whether she had been paid to make the videos, all things people are asking in the comments. Things escalated further when Grace responded directly. That response was later deleted, but it was already out there and screen recorded. The conversation very quickly stopped being about that original situation, right? The original drama, and became a back and forth over whether Mitchie had been publicly humiliated and whether Grace was invalidating her feelings. You know, Grace herself admitted that the atmosphere at the table had changed and that she felt like she was walking on eggshells, in her own words, after that surprise, non-surprise. And that's around the same time that the allegations began circulating that Grace and somebody from the brand's US team had discussed the situation during a TikTok live and made all those negative comments. So where do I stand on all of this, and what's the point in sharing this story? Because this isn't an influencer drama channel, and I'll be honest with you, I don't really care about the drama itself. I'm not interested in picking sides or trying to figure out who the villain is here. I don't think somebody stole a gift. I don't care. I don't think anyone deliberately tried to embarrass anybody. I think a mistake was made, communication broke down, and the internet did what it always does and turned it into something much bigger. But again, I don't care, and that's not invalidating anybody's feelings. They all have a right to post what they want and feel what they want. What I find interesting is everything that happened afterwards, because to me, this whole situation is more about loyalty. People started asking why another influencer felt the need to defend the brand so publicly, and I think the answer is actually very, very simple. Brands have become incredibly good at building relationships with creators. Years ago, people worried that influencers would say nice things about products because they got sent the product for free, right? But getting sent products is just part of the job now. Everybody gets sent free products. Being on a PR list doesn't mean shit anymore. It's just business, and everybody understands that. If you're a beauty creator, products arrive at your door every single day. That's not a flex, that's not a brag in any way. In fact, it's actually quite annoying. Especially when you didn't ask about and you're trying to control the amount of product you get. It's not exciting anymore, it's just business. So brands have had to find a new way to build stronger relationships with creators, and that's where the luxury gifting comes in my opinion. And listen, I'm not against brand PR trips or PR packages at all. Some of the best content I've ever made has come from brand events. Well, I would say products I've enjoyed, brands events, or PR products that I've been sent. If a brand flies me somewhere interesting, that is great. I can show you the behind the scenes. If they send me products, great, I can test them properly and give them a good review. Well, not a good review, but a proper review, a thorough review, whether that's positive or negative. But whenever I get these opportunities with a brand, the question I always ask myself is, how does this help me create something useful for the people watching? Because that's the job. My job isn't to protect brands. My job isn't to defend companies online or to be bought out by designer goods. My job is to help you decide whether a product is worth your money. And that's why I think luxury gifts can become a problem. A designer bag doesn't help me explain how a serum works. A Louis Vuitton passport holder doesn't help me tell you whether a cleanser is worth buying. Those gifts aren't for the audience. They're for the relationship between the brand and the creator. And yes, maybe it's just a nice thing to do. I do not believe that. I'm going to be honest with you. These are gifts. They are bribes, in my opinion. I'm not the only influencer that can't be won over by stuff like this. If this ever happens to me, I will say thank you. Am I going to post about it? Probably not. But I think that's why viewers have started feeling uncomfortable about it too. Not because creators don't deserve nice things or it's not a nice thing to do, but because people are asking a completely fair question. At what point does gratitude start turning into an obligation? At what point do creators stop feeling like they can be completely honest because they don't want to damage a relationship with a brand because the brand got them something nice and but I don't want to, I don't want to shit on them because look what they did. To me, the answer is very simple. Influencers don't owe brands shit. We don't owe them loyalty. We owe our audience honesty, because the moment your audience starts wondering whether your opinion can be bought, you've already lost the most valuable thing you have and something that I hope you have worked so hard for, which is their trust.